What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the vlog. My name is Matthew. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram at MSJ_4times and at Chili Production. And today we're going to talk about why the Trailblazer was down for just about a month, what led up to it, what we did to it, and where it's at now. Let's get into it. Trailblazer right now. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys a story about what happened, but before we get into that, I did give away the light up SS badge, the prototype 2 that I made. The individual's name on Instagram, I believe it's all about Brianna on there. She won it, sent it out earlier today, so hopefully she sends me some pictures of what it looks like, and then I'll add that to the next video. I did get another enclosure in, so I'm gonna start the prototype 3. I'm gonna play around with the lights a little bit because, as you know, on the current SS one and the prototype 2 that I made, towards the end of the SS, you don't really see the light coming through the back. So I'm gonna adjust the lights a little bit, play around with that, and make progress on creating a final product. But anyways, let's talk about what happened. So I went to Fremont with my cousin, some family members, went out there. We played pool, whenever, did our thing, and then on the way back, everything was good. We're driving good. Now keep in mind, I don't mess around in the Trailblazer. It is my daily. When I first got it, I had warranty, so yeah, I'd get on it, I'd do my thing with it. And now that it doesn't have any warranty and it's my daily driver, I try not to mess around with it too much. So you don't catch me racing people, you don't catch me doing digs, none of that no more. It's just a cruiser. So we get off on, I think, Montague, or the Great Mall exit, and we're in front of the Great Mall. My cousin's in his 71 Skylark. I think it was a 350Z pulled up right next to him. They got it, and I'm cruising. I get up to, from a dead stop, I wasn't stepping on it, I get up to about 25 miles an hour, and I just hear a pop from the front, and RPMs go up, and the car stops accelerating. So I coast off over to the side, and that was pretty much it. The car was on, it just didn't drive. All you could hear was like a grinding noise coming from up front. So in every single gear, all it did was grind, and as soon as I put it in park, you'll hear a loud grind, and that was coming from the transmission. So that was pretty much that. So I ended up towing it home, and then it was my cousin went to his tow yard to grab a tow truck. He towed me home. We left it right here in front of my house, and that was pretty much it. Now just trying to find someone who could do the job, who could do it right. Wasn't that hard. I already had someone in mind, which I ended up getting him to do it. And we'll talk about all the work he did in just a moment. But yeah, that's what happened. So it was really just sourcing, finding the part that I needed, or troubleshooting what part actually went out. Went on the forums, everyone had something different to say, but majority of the answers were leaning towards the intermediate shaft up front, or the front diff itself. One thing to keep in mind is I've had this car for 4 years now, and the only thing I've done to it was just oil change, air filters, and spark plugs. That's it. And it's been holding up good. Now for the past year, after the warranty expired, I was like, okay, maybe I want to start looking at doing other services, changing transmission fluid, rear diff fluid, all of those things, because I haven't done it, and I don't know who's owned the car before me, and I don't know if they did it. Keep in mind, if I'm not mistaken, I got the car at 83,000 miles, and it's at 162 right now, and I drive this thing everywhere, all up and down California. Been to San Diego, LA countless times, Tahoe. I literally drive it everywhere. It hasn't failed me. Keep in mind, it's all-wheel drive. So yeah, it's been good. So let me go ahead and jack up the car, then we can see exactly what we did to troubleshoot what was going on, and try to figure that all out. Let's jack it up. We'll continue from there. All right, so one thing to keep in mind is after the incident happened, after the front popped, the car no longer went into any gear, or at least it did, but it just didn't move on its own. So essentially it was all neutral. Even park, the car will roll back and forth. So what we did to troubleshoot is we lifted up the car and we got under it, we put it into gear. Obviously we weren't worried about it because it wasn't going to move anywhere. And when we put it into gear, we noticed the shaft coming from the transfer case was spinning. So the shaft, I don't know if you guys can see it, it goes up right in the middle, right there. We noticed that shaft was spinning, and you could hear grinding coming up from the front transfer case, but the car did not go into gear. I'm assuming there's a sensor somewhere on here that says if the front's spinning freely, don't engage the rear, because there's nothing on the transfer case, so I'm assuming, or the front diff, so I'm assuming it came from here. So wasn't going into gear. The shaft coming from the transfer case was spinning, and you could hear the grinding up front. Next thing we did is we drained all the fluid, and the fluid coming from the transfer case, or I should say lack of, there was minimum fluid coming from the transfer case, and it smelled burnt, and you could see some glitter inside there. So we knew right away what it was. So it was the front diff itself. So what ended up happening is we had to source a front diff from the dealership. I think a new one costs $2,100. We were able to actually find a used one from an SS that had 90,000 miles on it, and it was $1,350. I think it was a place from Fresno or Reno, one of those places they got it, and we ended up getting it sent over to the shop. The individual who did it, his name's Luis. You guys can see him on Instagram. I think his Instagram's Trailblazer408. Did crazy work. He went above and beyond. So let's see exactly what he did. So what we did is we replaced the front diff, which is, where are we at? Right here. The front diff right here. The intermediate shaft, which goes in here, and then the actuator. Since in order to drop the oil pan, you need to remove the front diff, or at least the intermediate shaft. Get the front diff out the way, and then you could drop the oil pan. And since the front diff and intermediate shaft was going to be all out the way, what I've been wanting to do is add in the oil pickup tube, pickup relocation tube from, I think it's PC of NC. So I got that, and he installed that for me while he was under there. So this is what he did. Got the front diff in, the intermediate shaft, the actuator. He did the oil pickup tube, the oil pickup tube, a relocation kit, which was dope. And that itself, from the dealership, or I think like just any regular shop charges, I guess the average price per hour, I'm not sure, it's around 200 bucks. Let's just say that it was going to be like 1,200 just for the labor itself, just for the time. So yeah, he did it, which is great. Also, another thing I noticed, when the car was sitting out here, I still kept turning it on so it could warm up and not just be sitting there. I turned it on like every other day. But one of the last few times I actually did it, I noticed a lot of smoke coming out from under the hood. Checked it out. There's a leak at the valve cover, and oil was going onto the manifold itself. So I asked him to replace that while I was at the shop, and that's what he did. He replaced it, but not only that, he actually fucking painted the red itself. Details that matter. I didn't ask him for that. He did that too. and this was a little bit harder to see, but he replaced this gasket as well and changed and painted the cover. You guys can probably see it a little bit. So I was so excited when I seen that. It's the small details that count and the extra work that he put into it. Also, since he was under here, keep in mind I said I've never changed any of the fluid, so I asked him if he could change the oil pan, the gasket, the filter, and the fluid. So he removed the oil pan, he painted it, changed the filter, added the new gasket, and obviously added fluid. He added fluid to the transfer case as well, or he drained it and added fluid. Yes, he never did that. So then one other thing I didn't do is the rear end. So I was like, okay, this is gonna fucking do all that work, do the fucking rear end. So I don't know if you guys can see it. There is the rear end. He removed it, new gasket, new fluid, and he painted it as well. So talk about going above and beyond for shit you're not even supposed to be doing, I guess. Supposed to be doing, if you will. So yeah, got new fluid in the whole drivetrain here. Obviously replaced the oil as well, since he dropped the oil pan and put in that oil relocation tube. Did all that, and then and I also got a new battery because my battery kept dying. It's got an Optima red top battery, and now the car is running good. There's some hiccups along the way in terms of things kind of being off, but one cool thing about Luis, Fastblazer 408, he stand by his work. So I had a couple issues when it was originally ready. Reached out to him and it was no ifs, ands, or buts. It wasn't I didn't touch this, it was just let me check it out, let me fix it, let me make it right. And it was small things, and that's what he did. He made it right. So, you know, it's kind of hard to find like a mechanic who's willing to stand by their work, even if it's something separate from what they did touch or didn't touch or whatever it is. This guy, amazing job. Like I said, went above and beyond, did everything, painted the stuff, changed everything in good timing as well. That month time was, you know, him trying to come over here and talk to me about it, but then our schedules didn't line up because of work, or just other things happening in life. But overall, got it back, it's put together, I'm driving it now, runs good. And yeah, now we're gonna talk about other things we want to do to it. Well, probably not right now, but I am working on the third SS badge as a third prototype SS badge. One thing I noticed now is, keep in mind, I didn't put clear coat on here. So now the epoxy resin, whatever you want to call it, is peeling a bunch of dead bugs here. But yeah, it's cracking. So I'm probably gonna take this down, take it off, sand it all the way down again, put more forged carbon pieces, and actually put clear coat on it after obviously more resin. Put some clear coat on it, that way it prevents it from doing stuff like that. Clear coat protects paint from fading and whatnot, and there's none of that on there. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this vlog. Wanted to tell you guys what was going on with the Trailblazer, what happened to it, how did we get it back, and hopefully this helps someone diagnose an issue they may potentially have. Like I said, heard the pop, car stopped moving, every gear was essentially neutral, even in park when the car was off. Front was grinding when I put it in gears. When I put it in park, you hear the transmission grind, and it was the front diff that went out, and that's because there is no fluid. The shitty part about that is, for the past year, I've been telling myself I need to go do this, I need to go do this, I just never did it. So it blew up because there was no fluid in there, it just got too hot. And so it's weird, I've been driving it like that for a while, never really noticed anything. Didn't really notice any leaks, but what we saw is there was some leaks underneath, but it was small enough so when I'm driving it, it's just like get blown back and whatnot and spread it throughout the bottom of the car. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Stay tuned. Need to do another update on the Chevelle, things I'm doing to it. I am trying to push myself to get the SS badge, the SS badge to like its final form, so I can go ahead and start selling those to people who keep asking me for it. I might start selling prototypes for a lot less than what I anticipate selling a complete version, just because people keep asking me for them. And yeah, eventually I want to start doing more forged carbon components and potentially selling those. But I want to get everything down right before I start selling stuff. As you know, I got these forged carbon as well on all of them. Haven't really talked about those, but those are nice. Cool. That's it for this vlog. Catch y'all later.